Well, you're on the John Fredericks Radio Network and the John Fredericks Radio app. It's always a great day when JD Hayworth is coming on. Just see him on the schedule, puts you in a good mood immediately. Former Congressman, Arizona, my bud. Also with me trying to blow up the big pharma chokehold monopoly they have on the American public. He knows a little about big pharma. He's going to be joining us in a moment. Tell you what else we hate is these scam skill games running around. Now the Spamberger one, Abigail, you need to veto these scam bills. It's a scam. People are getting ripped off. Somebody texted me the other day, right? So they go to the scam games, they actually win money, but you can't put money in. Now you get like a piece of paper. And he went to cash it out and they said they didn't have the money to cash it. These things are total scams. They are so bad. In Virginia, just get them out of there. And right now they're illegal. They're illegal. So you know what? I believe in the legality. I believe in the rule of law. Obviously, these skill game scam people don't. So you got to get them out. Law enforcement needs to remove these illegal machines now in Virginia. Call your local sheriff and tell them to get these out. This message paid for by Churchill Downs. These games are a ripoff. They're not regulated. They're bad for the community. They prey on the most vulnerable in our society. And then when you win, you don't get paid. Just take your money. It's like robbery. Unbelievable. Call your local sheriff. Tell them to get them out. Join me now. You want to know JD Hayworth? Everybody knows about JD. But before we get to JD, hang in there. Let's get to Paul in Michigan, line one. Paul, you're live with John and JD. Go ahead.
All right. Hey, John, one quick thing. That discussion you just had was excellent on the apparatus in Virginia. And I'm just wondering, why doesn't, like, you and Sir Bannon reach out to, Elon, see if you can get some of that $1 trillion bankroll of his and get a PAC set up, go around the RNV, and implement all the reach out, all the technology, and all the leadership needed. Hire the best people and go after it, and model that from state to state. Set up a fund that'll renew itself. I mean, so I'm sure maybe people are doing it or whatever, but I'm just wondering, like, why isn't that done? Why try and push the RNV or those people or that mindset?
I think it's a lost cause. Nobody likes throwing good money after bad. I mean, if you're in Virginia, I tell you what, get out. I mean, there's no way to fix this, dude. They just won another 13 seats. They're near a super majority. They have a left-wing governor, a super radical communist Senate. The people that got elected are crackpot, super leftist radicals. The 400 bills that Youngkin vetoed, let me be honest with you, I wish he had signed them all. You know why? Because the next 400 you get are going to be worse. I wish he signed them all and been done with it. At least then they have them. Now, the 400 bills he vetoed, she's going to sign those, but each one of them is going to be worse. I mean, it's going to be Virginia. You guys can't stop it. Good thing you live in Michigan. Like, get out, right? I don't live there anymore, so I'm a little cavalier about it. I, on the other hand, live in the safest, most wonderful city in America, Washington, D.C., where I'm safe and secure. But we got to get rid of the rats. But thank you, Paul, in Michigan. Thank you, Paul. I don't think Elon's going to put a dime in Virginia, but I'm with Scott Pio. I think you just got to blow it up. I mean, you just got to blow it up. I mean, come on, man. It's you just got so crushed. Oh, my God. I mean, you just got to blow it up. You just can't stay in those jobs. You just can't stay in those jobs. You got to try something, because that ain't working. And you know what? I like Ken, the executive director. I like Mark Peake, the chairman, state senator. Nice guys. They're my friends. They really do a good job in some areas, but you got to fall on your sword when you get your head chopped off in the public square. It's basically what happened. Joining me now, the one and only JD Hayworth. Always puts me in a good mood when he comes on. JD, thanks for being with us today.
Well, it's definitely a Monday morning, John. I'm greeted by Paul's assessment out of Michigan, and your even more candid assessment of the state we used to call the mother of presidents. And to top it off, now those watching our streaming video, if you're listening to the radio, I hesitate to bring this up, but I cut myself mere moments before my appearance since it's oh dark 30 out here in Arizona. So it's the Triple Crown, but there is some good news, and that's why I'm here to talk about it. The important efforts made by President Trump and his team to rein in big pharma, to cut prices, because as you and I have spoken about it before, we're paying 3 times as much on average as other drug patients, prescription drug patients in the developed world. America should come first in terms of price breaks, not last. And they took a big move when it comes to Americans, especially seniors, fighting the battle of the bulge, if you will, in terms of diet, health, and these weight control drugs, specifically, I guess, GLP-1.
Are you in favor of what President Trump is trying to do with GLP-1, the injection to lose weight? Are you in favor of that?
Well, I want to say it is an important step. But John, since you and I are of a certain age, we grew up during the space race. This is not the equivalent of landing on the moon, but it is something like achieving Earth orbit. It's another important milestone. But remember, with Big Pharma, while the president and his team concentrating quite properly initially on the price point, and we're seeing dramatic decreases in what the president sometimes in Trumpian slang calls the fat shot. I mean, to the tune of close to 10, only paying 1/10 in some cases of what has been paid. But here is the problem. We have to be careful. Big Pharma has spent the last quarter of this year, the most recent quarter, spending money in Washington, in Brussels, and elsewhere like never before. So they're putting the heat on Capitol Hill, and in any negotiation, it does not occur in a vacuum. Here's the thing to watch for. Does Big Pharma and the two companies who sat at the table say, look, we've done our part, we've brought these costs, these initial costs down. What does it do to the market? Well, it sets up a new pipeline of customers. And remember, now I'm not a doctor, not going to play one on TV, but usually with these weight control medications, more medication is called for in the future, a larger dose. Is this a low introductory price that continues to mount as treatments continue? These are the tough questions that the administration has to deal with Big Pharma, but I'm not going to discount the fact that it is an important step, both as reducing the prices, but also saying, look, we may disagree on the best treatments for losing weight. You will recall, for purposes of full disclosure, for me, it was a surgical treatment, 2 decades ago, maybe a little more during my days in Congress. It is a vexing problem. And in terms of public health, reaching out to try and deal with that as quickly and as effectively as possible, I think that's the goal of this broad public health initiative. But always, the challenge is in the details. As President Reagan used to say in a different context, trust but verify.
Well, I kind of remember you had that surgery, but I kind of forgot about it. But I do remember it. You look great, by the way. But it's interesting what you say about this. These, what is it, GLP, the shots, which I don't do. But I think a couple people I know that have had success with it, but they say that over time, the amount of injection, like the amount of whatever it is, like it keeps going up, like, doubling, tripling. And so you're right, as, you start with however many, let's say it's, 10 things, and then it's 20, and then 50, and then 80. So obviously you're going to pay more as it goes up. And then what happens when you get off it? I mean, just you stay on it forever?
Again, I don't know. And
I don't know, but I mean, but I have to say that I've talked to people that are on it that have lost a lot of weight and have no side benefits. A couple of people told me they take magnesium and things like that to help their bowel movements, but they've really had no side effects and they've lost a ton of weight and they feel better. So, look, if it helps certain people, I'm for it. I think the president did the right thing in it. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, JD, which is the Obamacare subsidies running out December 31st. I'm on record favoring just extend it for 12 months, no illegals on it, and cap it at 150,000. I don't think you can fix this problem in 4 weeks. And if we go down this path again with people losing their health insurance and they get sticker shock, and it's, then all the Democrats are saying, my mother's going to die. You killed my aunt. I mean, we went through this in 2018. I'm just for extending them, and then we can have the debate in 2026 how to figure it out. What say you?
Well, it is a vexing problem. And it is confounded and complicated for me to offer a detailed analysis right now, because obviously I'm concerned about prescription drugs. That becomes the motivator as the spokesperson for the Pharmaceutical Reform Alliance. Suffice it to say, when dealing with these challenges, it is never a situation where it's a zero-sum game. Things are put in place, often with prevailing public opinions, or as has been chronicled in the news at times, reports that turn into advocacy for a certain party. You notice how I'm trying to be diplomatic here this morning, to prime the pump and try to turn public opinion. Let me say it's important to get the government back to work, precisely because when the House joins the Senate, votes to end this shutdown, now it's time to get to work to put into statutes the safeguards that Americans need. Transparency. Understanding, you and I have talked about it before, it ain't free speech when you and I are paying for it in terms of these prescription drug ads over the air. And now, with the advent of promoting these websites, how we're seeing visual ads on different media platforms and different retail platforms. Well, imagine that going, okay, we'll move from over-the-air television to the internet with these spots, because you and I know on average a day Americans get 9 minutes worth of spots. Take that over an entire year. Do you spend that much time with your personal physician? So we've gotten this, in the time-honored Western expression, we've gotten this bass ackward. But we need to deal with the central problem, which is lowering prices for Americans who work hard.
So how do we do that? How do we do that?
Well, what we do is, it's part of what we're going through right now. And it's not easy, and it's not snapping your fingers. What you're seeing from the Trump administration, from his team, is hard-nosed negotiation. But you do have to bring about the transparency. You have to end the spending on advertising. Look, I'm a broadcaster, and you're a great broadcast entrepreneur. But the fact is, we are seeing these record profits by Big Pharma being pumped into advertising, being pumped into lobbying on Capitol Hill, and not going to the research and development their nice ads claim they're doing. In fact, Dr. Oz put other nations on notice at the press conference the other day, talking in a NATO frame of mind, saying, well, look, Americans are happy, and this is a paraphrase, happy to pay for some elements of innovation. But everybody's going to have to chip in. And the fact is, this responsibility needs to be shared by countries with economies who benefit. And our allies have benefited, and the American people have paid the bill. Those things have to change. And those are just a couple of line items on the agenda to continue it. But it's going to be an incremental process. It's not going to be easy, and it's not a snap your fingers, presto, changeo. Let's think of a new acronym, and ta-da, it's suddenly delivered.
Well, I agree with you on pharmaceutical advertising, the bajillions of dollars they spend. There's only 2 countries that allow it, the U.S. and I think New
New Zealand.
New
That's why I
Zealand.
have on the black shirt today. It's really not an Orson Welles, Merv Griffin thing. It's New Zealand. Their teams are called the Blacks because they're always dressed internationally
Well, I
in
mean,
black.
it's
So I thought
ridiculous. I
you'd
mean,
like
they
that. Plus,
spend
it does have
billions.
a slimming
They
effect.
spend billions and billions of dollars. And when you just think about this logically, you have a problem, you go to a doctor, the doctor is supposed to diagnose your problem. And then if there is a medication or a pharmaceutical product to address that, then they explain it to you and they recommend it. What happens with these ads is you see them on TV, you go to your doctor and say, I want that. Prescribe it. I mean, you said what was it? Bass backwards. The whole thing's backwards.
Yeah,
And then
when it's
and then
based,
the billions they spend, they could be saving that and passing the savings on to us.
Marty McCary said it in a press conference earlier this summer. Imagine if that money were not plowed into advertising, but actually helping to reduce the prices. That becomes the goal. And as always, your listeners and viewers can find out more at pharmareformalliance.com.
Let me write that down. Pharma Reform Alliance.
Reformalliance.com. Pharma with a PH.
Everybody, yeah.
Pharmareformalliance.com.
All right, JD, spot on. Pharmareformalliance.com. JD, as always, want to thank you for your spirit. What time is it in Arizona?
Well, the good, and one day I'll have to come on. I'll tell you the whole story behind the lack of daylight savings time in Arizona. Actually, there's a Virginia component in there too, according to the late great Herb Bateman. But that's another story for another day. We're only 2 hours behind the East Coast, but as winter descends upon us, the days are darker, and thus the wounding.
So it's 6:28 out there.
Yes.
But before daylight set, but before we move the clocks back, it would be 5:28.
That's correct. It would have been a 3-hour time difference. I've got the story for you, but I want to be respectful of your time.
I want to hear this story. Go ahead.
Okay, it's very, very simple. When LBJ said, no, look, we're going to have to get this in place. States are going to have to decide. Out here in Arizona, in the mid to late 60s, one of the most powerful lobbying groups was the drive-in theater owners. In conjunction with the Arizona Farm Bureau, they said, look, we can't wait till 9 at night to start showing movies because your agro workers, the farm guys aren't going to be able to get up and get to work to the dairies and the cotton farms and everything. So they got together, and that's the real reason why Arizona stayed on standard time year round. That's why when you're traveling from the east in the summer, you go, wait a minute, they're on Los Angeles time. And now you kind of go, well, they're on Denver time. Yeah, technically we're Mountain Standard year around, but it does come back to the warning I offered earlier about the huge dough being spent on Capitol Hill and on advertising right now. Just imagine, moving past the PR stunts and the much heralded announcements, if they actually quit the profiteering, dealt responsibly with profits, and bringing down prices to truly put Americans first. So a cautionary note, even tying in the time change. Did I do that okay as an old broadcaster and still brought it back to what we're talking about, John?
You're a professional, no doubt about it. You haven't lost your touch, JD, from your radio days. But I'll tell you this, it's a great story to think that at one time, drive-in theaters, which no longer exist, but I think there might be 5 of them remaining in the country, had a lobbying group.
Oh, it was a big one in Arizona. And the story came my first term in Congress. Remember Senator Dennis DeConcini?
Yes.
His brother Dino was running the payroll savings plan for the Clinton bunch. And he pays a courtesy call. And so, I'm always interested in the history of my home state. And he said, yeah, it's not the desert heat. Let me tell you what really happened. So how is that even sounding a note of bipartisanship, given the credit to Dino DeConcini for telling me the real story behind what was going on with Arizona staying on Mountain Standard Time year round. See, I'm trying to cover all the bases. It gave me a shot where I could do red meat.
Think about it, folks. The drive-in theater lobby. Like
Yeah.
I got 3 kids aged 35 to 21. None of them have ever been to a drive-in theater in their life. They don't even know what it is. They had a
Well, again,
drive-in
tying
theater
it to
lobby.
public health during the whole COVID thing, actually, some entrepreneurs out here put together the resurrection of the multiplex drive-in.
Where you
So
put
you
this
come
out.
with your loved ones, and
Oh
I
my
guess you would
God.
take
I
off
can
the
remember
rest of
doing
the
that as
car.
a
Yeah.
kid. My parents would pile us in the car. We'd sit in the back seat with blankets and they put that speaker would hang on the window. That's
That's right. Don't
unbelievable.
forget to take the speaker off and
Before
then
you
make the
drive
trip
away.
through the darkness to the concession stand. And that brings us back to the question of obesity. But I'm just trying to offer informing and
Oh,
informative and
JD, I gotta
entertaining.
go.
I know, pal. Bless you.
When our
PharmaReformAlliance.com.
when our discussion devolves into drive-ins, go to pharmareformalliance.com.
PharmaReformAlliance.com. All there it is right there for those watching the streaming video on your full service broadcast.
JD, thanks for being with us.
You bet.
We'll be right back with your calls. 888-480-JOHN.